Descent. The crash left a scar in the earth half a kilometer long. Smoke curled into the gray sky, painting the treetops in toxic shades. Blackened pine needles rained like ash. The sleek remains of a human stealth recon ship, charred, gutted, defiant even in ruin, jutted from the forest floor like a broken fawn. Lieutenant Sarah Vostrikov dragged herself from the wreckage. Her left arm was useless, crushed beneath debris before she wrenched it free. Blood matted her temple, thick and tacky. Her breath came sharp and wet. Every nerve screamed, but her boots hit soil. That meant she was alive. That was enough. Her visor flickered, burned out. The HUD was dead. The AI was silent. No auto-scan, no comms, no med supply. Alone, she staggered to a rise above the crash, surveyed the forest with one good eye. Cold planet, mid-level oxygen, low sapient density, but not uninhabited. She'd seen the settlements during atmospheric descent, flaring like embers before the Empire's plasma bolts tore through her ship. Empire territory, not claimed, owned. Sarah crouched and dug fingers into the earth, smearing her blood with dirt to cover her scent. A habit. Reflex. Her hand moved without thought. She whispered, "You watching, Baba?" A memory stirred, flickering like old tape. The inside of a cabin, dark, creaking, smelling of herbs and smoke. A crooked stove puffed warmth. Old books lined the walls. And in the center, wrapped in layers of rags and silence, a woman stirred a pot with a bone. "Always cover your scent," the old woman rasped, "before the wolves smell it on the wind." Even if there are no wolves, young Sarah had asked. There are always wolves. The scent of her blood was already drawing them. Back in the present, something chirped overhead. Drones. Small ones. Recon, not strike class. That meant they didn't know if she survived. Good. She could use that. Sarah slipped into the trees like smoke. The Empire trained soldiers. Baba Yaga had trained something else. By the time the first Imperial patrol arrived, Sarah was gone. The crash site glowed on their scanners. 10 soldiers, sleek in obsidian armor, rifles glowing cold blue. No movement detected. No life signs. Body, one asked. No trace, said the other. Likely vaporized. The leader, a scaled, four-eyed tactician named A.R. Zath, narrowed its gaze. Human craft. Too small for more than one crew. Confirmed death. The patrol fanned out. They never saw the trap. It wasn't complex. A vine pulled taut, a metal shard from her ship, and a precarious rock. But when one soldier triggered it, the shard drove into its neck joint, where synthetic armor met organic tissue. It died without sound. Panic erupted. Rifles flared. The forest lit up. Sarah moved in the chaos, fast and low. Her bad arm dangled. She didn't need it. One soldier turned and caught a glimpse of her, bloody, wild-eyed, face streaked with ash. Then a sharp stone cracked its visor, and darkness followed. 3 down. The rest pulled back. She's alive, A.R. Zath snarled. And trained. Activate full pursuit protocols. Sarah collapsed in a hollow log 2 kilometers away. Pain throbbed through her side. One lung was definitely bruised. She'd used more energy than she could afford. She closed her eyes. The cabin returned. Baba Yaga squatted over a map. Old Earth terrain. Russia's forests. The bones of ancient satellites rusted in orbit. The witch poked a mark with a clawed nail. "This is where I died. Once. Then again. Then again. Are you a person?" Sarah asked. "Or a story?" The old woman smiled, teeth crooked and sharp. "What's the difference, little Kasheka?" Sarah opened her eyes. A droplet of blood rolled down her cheek. They wouldn't stop. Empire doctrine didn't allow anomalies. If you survived their first shot, they just shoot again. Harder. Forever. So she'd make them bleed for every step. Across the forest, surveillance stations lit up. Human life form confirmed. Came the command node's emotionless report. Engage with lethal intent. No negotiations. Threat level. Red. In orbit, the sector governor leaned back in her chair and frowned. "Human," she murmured. "I thought they were extinct." Her aide checked the files. Last verified encounter. 200 years ago. all records sealed under uncontainable threat classification. Interesting, the governor said. Send a kill squad. Sarah sharpened a stick with her teeth. Her bones ached. Her vision blurred. But she smiled. You taught me well, she whispered to the trees. And somewhere, in the wind between branches, something whispered back. Fire and flesh. The first shot tore through her abdomen. Sarah fell to one knee, breath catching like ice in her chest. The energy round had cauterized the flesh, but the impact cracked 2 ribs. She rolled behind a boulder, gritting her teeth. She didn't scream. The Empire kill squad advanced silently through the forest, a dozen armored specialists. Their movements were flawless, synchronized, fluid, practiced. A single organism in 12 bodies. She was one broken human, and yet they hunted her like she was the threat. Their leader, Commander Relayar, scanned with biothermal lenses. Confirmed impact. Target down. Moved to verify. They knew better than to assume she was dead. They were right. Sarah drew a breath. Pain flooded her vision, blooming red around the edges. Her fingers clenched the shard of metal in her belt, scavenged from her ship's hull, shaped into a blade. Blood dripped on a moss. Another shot hissed past her head. They were flushing her out now. No time, she whispered to herself. Pain is permission. Baba Yaga's voice echoed from memory. Not soothing, not kind, but undeniable. The body is a door. Pain is the key. Open it, girl. Sarah slammed the shard into her thigh. The scream didn't come from her throat. It came from the forest itself. Something shifted. To the soldiers, the world dimmed. Static danced on their visors. Comms fizzled. One soldier's audio implant began emitting a low, inhuman hum. Relayar frowned. Interference. No source detected. Sensors are wait. From the trees, something moved. Fast. It wasn't a sprint. It wasn't a charge. It was a blur, like the forest had bent to birth a phantom. One soldier raised his rifle, and Sarah was already inside his guard, blade to throat, twisting. One gurgle. 5 seconds. Another soldier down. They opened fire in panic. Energy bolts sizzled the trees. Ferns combusted. The kill squad fell into disarray. She moved like a fever dream, darting, ducking, appearing where no path existed. One soldier caught her full in the chest with a pulse round. She dropped, but rose again. Half her torso was scorched. Her left eye hung ruined. Her skin cracked and flaked, blackened from burn. She smiled with blood-slicked teeth, and they broke. Hours later, the clearing stank of ozone and corpses. Sarah sat beside a stream, stripping charred flesh from her arm with the edge of her blade. Steam rose from her skin. The pain had become a rhythm now, steady, familiar. Not healing, not quite, but reshaping. Baba Yaga's teachings weren't medical. They were transformative. Pain makes you, the old woman once said, stirring coals with a human finger bone. Use it. Let it burn the weakness away. Sarah looked into the water. Her reflection was alien, half her scalp raw. I'm milky, face smeared in soot and blood. Yet her gaze was steady. She drank deep from the stream. Then she wept. In orbit, panic bloomed. Relayar's command feed had gone dark 20 minutes ago. No vital signs. No transmission. Their entire unit, silent. Explain this, barked the sector governor. Her aide trembled. Their kill cams transmitted partial footage. Before the link died. On the screen, flickers of trees. Pulse fire. Screams. And then her, a human woman. Burned. Walking straight into fire, unfazed. No armor. No fear. The governor's jaw clenched. What the hell is that? The aide whispered. We ran a linguistic trace on the transmissions. The soldiers used an old Earth word. They called her Vedma, which, back on the planet, a village stood near the edge of the imperial zone. Rural, small, used for agricultural support. The locals had seen a crash. Then the patrols. Then the silence. Now they whispered. An elder woman lit a candle in the night, placing it on her windowsill. She walks again, she told her granddaughter, eyes distant. The forest moves like it remembers her. The child frowned. Who? The old woman hesitated. Baba Yaga's shadow. a daughter of the old stories. Sarah didn't know how long she slept. Her dreams were filled with footsteps on creaking wooden floors, bones that whispered, firewood that screamed when burned. She woke to hunger and frostbite. She chewed bark, sucked moss for water, slept in the roots of old trees. Her skin peeled in sheets. Beneath, new tissue, tougher, paler, marbled with dark veins. Her fingers no longer trembled. Her body moved like it remembered something she hadn't learned. Something ancient. She built a staff from twisted ironwood, carved with strange markings. Some were Empire code. Some weren't. Some were older. She hunted. At the Imperial war desk, decisions were made. "This is not a military incident," said the governor. "It is a containment breach." They prepared orbital strikes, cleansing waves, class, 5 sterilization protocols. But before they could launch, the planetary systems glitched. Not a full failure, just enough to stall, to confuse. One final image appeared on their comm screens. A hut on chicken legs, and below it, a message in pre-Empire Cyrillic. "I taught her." The witch hunted. The rain came hard. It slapped the leaves, smothered the undergrowth, and masked the sound of boots on soil. Empire Command had deployed Strike Group Talon V, 20 specialists in adaptive armor, storm-trained and mind-synced. No mistakes, no fear. Their mission was clear: neutralize the anomaly. Burn the forest. Leave no trace. From his elevated perch, Commander Selnvi scanned the tree line with multi-spectrum optics. Thermal contact, 400 meters, northeast quadrant. Low movement. Injured gait. A pause. Then, she's playing wounded again. The unit tightened formation. Scanners pulsed silently, mapping heat signatures, chemical traces, micropressure differentials. Sarah had vanished from satellites 2 days ago, but the forest whispered her trail. Broken branches, blood residue, clawed markings in bark. Glyphs, not in Empire script, not in any known language. They marched deeper, sensors up, safeties off. What they didn't see was the pattern. The glyphs weren't warnings. They were bait. Sarah crouched in a hollow beneath a tangle of exposed roots, watching the soldiers pass above her like shadows. She was different now, stronger. She didn't remember how long she'd been hunted, days, maybe weeks. The pain had dulled into purpose. Her body no longer bled like it used to. Skin regrew strange. Her eyes reflected light in unnatural ways. But it was her mind that had truly changed. Use their steps against them, Baba Yaga had once said, dragging a wolf carcass into her hut. Let them think they lead the hunt. Sarah watched the last soldier pass. Then she moved. The trap sprung in 3 motions. 1. Pressure plate, carved from her ship's ceramic plating, buried beneath soaked moss. 2. Spiked canopy, fallen logs held aloft by vine tension, designed to crush from above. 3. Detonator, cobbled from an Empire energy cell, reconfigured to flash blind at point-blank range. It took 5 seconds to kill 6 soldiers. Screams echoed. Scanners overloaded. The formation shattered. Sarah emerged from the mist like a curse. She wielded her staff now, not just as a weapon, but as a focus. She had etched her blood into the ironwood, sealed it with old rituals and new hate. One soldier raised a plasma gun. She broke his jaw with the staff before he could blink. Spun, cracked another spine, caught a third by the helmet, and slammed his head against a rock until it split. Gunfire lit the forest. She didn't run. She danced through it. Commander Selnvi screamed for a tactical retreat. "This is not a soldier," he shouted into his comm. "This is a mythological anomaly. She's using hybrid warfare, primitive and post-human." He uploaded live footage to command. Sarah moving through fire. Sarah with skin split down the middle, but still standing. Sarah speaking in old Russian dialects no translator could decode. One soldier captured a 10-second clip of her standing over a corpse, whispering to it. A glyph bloomed in blood across the forest floor. When command tried to analyze the symbols, the AI interpreter crashed. "Lock down the network," said the admiral. "Purge every node she touched." It was too late. The image was already circulating among black market feeds across the outer rims. The forest witch, the last human, the one who walks through flame. Sarah stood over the wreckage of Strike Group Talon V, her body steaming, muscles trembling. She wasn't invincible, but something was helping her. Not overtly, not externally, but inside, rooted deep, there was presence. Not quite another mind, but a weight, a pressure behind her thoughts. Memory not her own. Reflexes that belonged to something older. Baba Yaga had never been just a woman. She had been a transmission, a legacy encoded in ritual, hidden in genetics, buried beneath fear and fairy tales. Passed to chosen minds through stories, blood, and suffering. You don't need to live forever, Kasheka, she once told Sarah. You only need to live loudly enough that the universe hears you scream. Sarah screamed now, and the forest screamed with her. Imperial Command issued Order Obsidian. Complete orbital sterilization of the forest quadrant. 3 gunships launched from orbit. But halfway through atmospheric entry, one exploded midair, an error in the navigation grid. The second fired its payload early, detonating 5 kilometers off target, annihilating an empty lake. The third vanished from radar entirely. Command's technicians scrambled. "This is sabotage," someone cried. "No," said the Admiral, her eyes wide as a new signal appeared on every screen. A crude image. A hut. Chicken legs. Smoke curling from its chimney. And then a voice. Garbled, static-layered, ancient. "You cannot burn what does not die." I taught her. Somewhere deep in the woods, Sarah stood in front of a tree marked with iron nails and twisted roots. The glyph she carved now was different. Not bait. Not a weapon. It was a signal. She smeared her hand in blood and pressed it to the bark. The ground shifted beneath her feet. The forest moved, and the Empire trembled. I taught her. They came with fire. Empire ships blotted out the sky. An armada meant for planetary siege, not one woman. Atmospheric rippers churned the clouds into screaming storms. Drones by the thousands descended, scanning every kilometer. Automated flommers reduced whole forests to ash. And at the center of it all, the Governor-General herself descended from orbit in a walking command fortress. Not a hologram, not a proxy. She came to see the anomaly with her own eyes. "Report," she said, stepping down from the ramp. "Target is isolated to this zone," answered the tactical AI. All exit vectors collapsed. Burn range initiated. The governor watched a landscape die. Flame devoured hills. Ash whirled in sheets. Trees became shadows. Life became cinders. "End it," she said. But as the command was given, a shape appeared through the smoke. Not cowering, not fleeing, standing. Sarah walked through fire. Her skin blistered and sloughed. Her hair was gone, replaced by coils of soot and blood. Her bones gleamed in places where the flesh had torn. And yet she moved like wind, like hunger, like story. Ritual symbols burned into her chest, carved in pain, hardened by survival. The governor raised her weapon, a railpike fused with command authority. It had never missed. She fired. Sarah caught the bolt and broke it in her hands. "I see you," the governor said, trying to mask the tremble in her voice. "You're no longer human." Sarah stepped forward, eyes blank with knowing. "I never was," she said. Her voice wasn't just hers. It was layered, deep, feminine, cracked with 1,000 winters. "I was taught. You think myth will protect you?" Sarah raised her hand. The scorched soil shifted. Ash curled upward, forming shapes, faces, bones, names forgotten by time. "Not myth," she said. "Memory. Yours burns. Mine roots." The fortress fired everything. Missiles, plasma, anti-soul, tech. But the forest did not fall. It rose. Trees that should have died 1,000 years ago shook off flame like rain. Bark split to reveal sinew. Roots curled like claws. Crows spiraled down from blackened skies. Eyes like coals, wings wide as banners. The very earth split, and in its center stood the hut. On chicken legs. Chimney smoking. Door open. The old stories had come back. The governor ran. She made it 40 meters before the forest bent around her. Sarah didn't hurry. She walked. Each step ignited glyphs on the ground. Each breath changed the air. Soldiers who dared aim at her dropped their weapons, trembling. Some wept. Others simply turned and walked into the woods, never to return. Sarah reached the governor as she fell to her knees. Smoke filled the air. "No," the governor said. "You're not real. You're not possible." Sarah crouched beside her. "I was real when you burned my home," she whispered. "When your empire shot me for breathing. When your men laughed as they tracked me like game." She leaned closer. "And I was real when Baba Yaga taught me that death is just another lesson." The governor opened her mouth to scream. Sarah pressed her fingers to the woman's lips. Shoo. The next morning, the sky was clear. No ships, no soldiers, just mist rising from a reborn forest and the quiet sound of wind chimes swinging from a crooked porch. Sarah sat by the fire in a cabin that had no right to exist. Its walls were crooked. Its windows flickered between glass and bone. The chicken leg beneath it itched occasionally, but did not walk today. She stirred a pot with a spoon carved from ashwood. A knock came at the door. She didn't answer. It opened anyway. A girl entered, no older than 12. Dirty face, wild eyes, a burn scar across her cheek. "You're the witch," the girl said. Sarah looked up, smiled faintly. "No," she said. "I'm what comes after the witch." The girl stepped closer. "Can you teach me?" Sarah considered, then nodded once. "Let's start with silence," she said. "It's where the stories grow." Across the stars, on distant outposts, whispers began. A forest that eats armies. A woman who walks through fire. A voice on forbidden frequencies saying again and again. I taught her, and in that whisper was the future, not of the empire, but of something older and far harder to kill.